Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We are talking all things thought leadership, and it's really going from invisible to influential. How do you do that? Well, today we're going to give you a blueprint for thought leadership success. And it's not just me, I have some other amazing co-hosts with me as well. But before we get started, I want you to put your name in the chat, what city you're from, what state, or if you're out of country, what country you are watching from. We love hearing from people from all over the globe, so don't forget to put those details in the chat and keep the chats coming. Keep the comments flowing as we talk. This is important because at the end, I have a special giveaway. 3 signed copies of my best-selling book, Talk Your Way to the Top. So if you stay to the end, if you keep putting comments in, you will be entered in a contest to win one of these. So stay to the end, leave those comments. Now, first, I want to go over a brief introduction of some of the amazing co-hosts that I have on this program today joining me. All right. So first, I want to introduce Jill Kirsch. Jill is Hollywood's go-to expert known for transforming personal style through the power of customized color palettes. With decades of experience, she helps individuals discover their most flattering shades based on hair color, unlocking confidence, clarity, and unforgettable presence. Next, we have Claudio Sinhauser, who is a seasoned presentation coach with over 15 years of experience helping professionals deliver high-impact presentations that captivate and persuade. He specializes in preparing individuals for spotlight moments such as investor pitches, keynote presentations, TEDx talks, or even Shark Tank. Love that. By the end of today's session, you will walk away with actionable strategies to increase your visibility, credibility, and impact as a thought leader. Plus, an exclusive opportunity to take things to the next level in your thought leadership. That sounds so awesome. I love that. So, first off, I want to talk about what is thought leadership. We hear that term a lot, probably on LinkedIn, right? So, what is the difference between a subject matter expert and a thought leader? That's a good question. I'd love for you guys to put in the chat what you think. What is the difference between a subject matter expert and a thought leader? Go ahead and put it in the chat, and then I will give you my opinion and synopsis. Okay, so what is a subject matter expert? Let's start there. Well, a subject matter expert is deeply knowledgeable in a specific field. And their knowledge offers accurate insights and helps shape potentially their company, their industry, right? So when we think about a subject matter expert, we think of somebody that is deeply knowledgeable. So what's the difference between that and a thought leader? Well, a thought leader actually takes it one step further. What do I mean by that? Well, a thought leader uses their expertise to shape conversations, challenge conventional thinking, and inspire others with a visionary perspective that influences change beyond conventional thinking. This is interesting, right? And beyond their immediate domain. So here's a big reality check, though. Having subject matter expertise and degrees isn't enough. You need to have the right strategy to be seen and heard. And that's where we come in today. So I also want to talk about some common struggles of thought leaders. What could they be? Well, the market's noisy, right? We see a lot of people on LinkedIn, especially. There's over 1 billion members on LinkedIn right now. So people are struggling with low visibility despite their expertise. They're also probably struggling with high profile speaking engagements and media opportunities. Again, struggling to be seen and heard. And they could also be struggling with book launches that aren't gaining traction. Ouch, I've been there. It is hard. And I would love to know in the chat which one of these three resonates with you the most. So, are we struggling with low visibility despite our expertise? Are we struggling to land high profile speaking engagements or media opportunities? Or are we struggling to have our thought leadership be recognized? Are we struggling to have our books be read by the right people? Struggling to get reviews? What are you struggling with out of those three? Those are the typical ones that I see the most. And go ahead and, like I said, put it in the chat. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is a first impression. This is important, right? Because how long do we get for a first impression? This is interesting. Have you ever thought about that? I would love to hear your takeaways. How long do first impressions last? Anybody have any great guesses? Great guesses? And by the way, some comments are coming in. People are saying they're struggling with visibility, they're struggling to be seen, they're struggling to gain recognition. But now I want you guys to also to tell me how long it takes for that first impression online. So again, when somebody is looking you up online, how long is that first impression form? We have an answer here. Somebody said 3 seconds. Somebody said 0.5 seconds. It's not a long time, is it? Right? So think about this as we go through the webinar today. How long is that first impression? And the answer is it varies. There's not one specific study that says this is exactly how long a first impression is, but the answer is mere seconds. And that's all we have to know, right? That when someone looks us up online, that first impression only lasts mere seconds. Now, my question to Jill, our next guest, is Jill, how long do you think it lasts for that first impression? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
How long it lasts or how long it
Yeah,
takes?
or how long before before you form a first impression?
Oh, it's immediate. To me, it's
Immediate.
absolutely immediate. I mean,
Yeah.
from my viewpoint, if you're going on an audition or an interview, and as soon as the door opens, it starts. There's a
Mm.
vibe, there's a moment of like something happens. And so, what I do is give you the best of the best shot to make that immediate first impression, and make it a good one, and then just continue on and increase it. I think
I
it's
love
immediate.
that. Well, it is immediate, right? It's the first thing. If somebody comes in the door, it's the first thing they notice. And then if somebody looks you up online, it's again, that first impression, it happens in seconds, right? So
Yeah,
this is important because, I know that color has a lot to do with this. So my question to you is, if, seconds is all we have for a first impression, how does color influence this first impression? How does it influence? I would love for you to talk to about that.
it's everything. It is everything because it's that first moment and you just want to have everything going for you. So, really fast, for what I do, is I've created a system that gives you every color. You can wear every color. It's not like, oh, I can wear 3 or 4 colors. It just depends on finding the best hue of that color for you to really bring you out. Because when you have it going, it's an amazing effect. My viewpoint is when you're wearing your best colors based on your hair color, which is all having to do with the system I've created, and to break it down really fast, your hair is framing your face. It frames the picture, your eyes and your smile, and you want to acknowledge it. You want to lead with your hair color when you're choosing shades of color for wardrobe and with the women for beauty, because the ideal scene, whether you're on a stage or on the screen or whatever, is you want the viewer's eye to be drawn from what you're wearing up to the lips, cheeks, eyes, and the hair. Everything is lifting. The arrows, shall we say, are all pointing up, because when that's all happening and everything is in sync, the message you're communicating in words is just going to ride that wave. Do you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? It's not like the viewer has to get through something to get you, to get your message, right? It's like, oh, like the guy's tie, the meeting's all about the tie, or the glasses cut his face in half, or everything is just off. It's like, or the lips get to the room before she does. All of these distractions that are taking away from you and absolutely dilute your message, dilute the impingement that you have to create the kind of effect you want to create on your audience. So
Mm.
it's very important. And the other thing to do is to also acknowledge the space that you're speaking in. You know,
Yeah.
what color is your background, which is a whole other thing I get into. But if you're on a stage and the background is a dark color, I would not suggest wearing a dark color. Um, Everyone, I mean, I can just go on, Tara, so you don't have to tell me
I would
when.
love to see some examples. Can you show
Yes,
some
I would love to
examples?
show you. Yes, let me show
Yes,
you.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, I'm not seeing. Oh, there they are. Okay, yes. So what we did was we pulled some photos over the years off the red carpet, and these women are fabulous, drop dead gorgeous. But from my viewpoint, I think we could tweak the color a little bit to just kick it up a notch. So we did some Photoshop. So we have a before, which is a gorgeous dress, but totally washes her out. And then let's see what we have next. Then we have, yeah. So it's so funny with this one because people say to me, oh, but you photoshopped Jennifer Lopez's skin tone. I did not touch her skin tone. Just by changing the dress, it's working with everything she has already going for her. And it just takes it to the next step. And then, oh, Christina Hendricks.
Ooh,
I mean,
I love
a
that.
redhead, FYI, if you have any redheads in the chat, a redhead or like a golden brown haired a gal or a guy in teal blue is fabulous. Blue in general, and Tara, you are killing it in that blue that you're wearing, but blue in general is a wonderful color on camera. You know, I find purples are great,
Yeah.
blues are great. Reds can be a little tricky depending on monitors. But yes, teal blue on a redhead is stunning, stunning. And then these are a couple of my clients before and after in a very expensive cashmere jacket that is totally not his color. The shirt is horrible. And we put him in another very inexpensive blue with the different shades of blue, totally pulls the attention right up to his face. There's a presence, there's an energy, there's a vibe. And this is was a young actor in Hollywood. He would go on his auditions in a pale gray sweater all the time. And I said, with your coloring, I think we can kick it up a notch or five. And so we did that with the warm brown. See, and now the warm brown on my coloring is
Ah,
horrible. It's awful. Oh, and do we have the next one? Oh, there's Tara.
that's it. Yep.
I have so tiny. Yes. Well, you killed it in that green. That green is so good on you. And that's a wonderful green. If we have anyone on the chat who has dark hair, like black, salt and pepper, silver hair, that green is stunning. Whereas for someone with warm blonde hair, you want to go more toward a Kelly green, a warmer green. Someone with gray hair or like a white blonde, more like a minty kind of a green. And someone who's a redhead, where they live in green, especially the right ones, you want like that deep forest green or an olivey green, which is very hard to wear, but on the right person, it's amazing. I'm going to show you something
Wow.
really fast if you have a second. Okay,
Of
this is just
course.
a demo, right? So like I get asked by different writers, well, what about a trending color? What about purple? So purple was a trending color. Who can wear it? And I said, everyone can wear every color. It just depends on the right shade for you. So here's more of like an orchid
Mm.
purple. Okay, nice color, right? But this color is a royal purple, and this is my color.
Such a
Ooh,
difference. Such a
such a
difference.
difference. All of a sudden, I had a jawline, which is wonderful on camera, in life in general. But anyway, but so that is my color, one of my colors, because you get more than one red, more than one blue, green in my system. But look at that. Okay, now watch the difference. So flat. right? It makes my face
Mm.
fuller because it's pulling everything down. It's very muddy. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like a camera that's a little bit out of focus. Whereas when you wear the right shade of color, it's amazing. And then I've made it that every shade of color that's in your color palette can coordinate with each other. So you get a wardrobe and a look, and everything rocks, and it's fabulous.
I love that. And I can attest to that because you actually helped me with my color before I stepped on the TEDx stage, and helped me with my own personalized color book. And
Yeah.
what I do with this is I take this with me when I go shopping. So I typically keep this in my purse or wherever. And when I go shopping, I take this with me so that I make sure I buy the right colors because that's so important. Again, that first impression is mere seconds that we get. So it's so important to have the right color so that when you step on stage, especially anywhere, but when you step on stage, if you're a professional speaker, and we're talking to thought leaders today, you make that really good first impression because a TEDx talk on YouTube lasts forever. The last thing we want is to get all the way to that pinnacle point where we're delivering the speech of our career and it's not the right color and it actually detracts from our message and doesn't enrich it or support it. So I really appreciate that, Jill. It helped me so much. So thank you.
That's
And these first impressions, it's not just on the TEDx stage, but again, we're talking about thought leadership as well, right? So we're talking about LinkedIn, we're talking about visibility, we're talking about delivering a keynote speech, we're talking about areas where we can have influence and visibility. The best way we can do that is by making a really solid first impression so that we make the intended impact we are trying to make. I would love for you guys as well to put in the comments again, keep those comments coming. Which of Jill's pictures resonated with you the most? And look back at my TEDx picture that was the last one, and I want you to think of what if I would have showed up on the TEDx stage wearing mustard yellow instead of emerald green? Do you think I would have gotten 413,000 plus views on my talk? I don't think so, right? That first impression is everything. So think about that green, how it complements my skin tone, my hair color, and then think about that mustard yellow. And maybe this sounds like, oh, she would never go on stage wearing mustard yellow. You would be surprised. So this is why we have this conversation today, so that you are making that very best first impression possible. So I want to talk about, LinkedIn, thought
Hold
leadership,
on, hold on
visibility, and
quickly. Hold on. Let me stop you there. There's a flow quickly because there's this question and
sure,
you might not see it because it
sure.
might be too small on your
I
screen.
don't see it. Yep.
But Jill, Webmaker Circle is asking, what about your eye color? What kind of an
Ooh.
impact does that have to your choices of color in your dress?
Okay, so that's a great question. Here's the thing. If you have blue eyes, okay, first of all, everyone gets to wear blue. But if you happen to have blue eyes, you're going to get the extra bonus, the extra kick that if you wear a blue, it's going to totally pop your eye color. But okay, I will say, like, a lot of people on a red carpet or speaking, when you're doing a long shot of the person, not like a close up, people tend to dress to match their eye color, right? So I've seen, oh, someone would wear a light blue color, but her hair is a golden blonde color. So, and the icy blue is very cool and her hair is very warm. So immediately you're working against something, okay? But they have this idea to dress to match the eye color, right? So because everyone can wear
Mm.
a blue, you just want to wear the right blue. Absolutely. When I go on, I did a TV show and I wore a green jacket. Well, I have green eyes. So the host made a comment and whatever, because you get the extra kick. But I will tell you, and it's a bit out of the box with my whole system of color, but your hair color is what rules the day. End of story. End of story. And when you have an eye color that's a good color for your coloring, that you're wearing, you absolutely get an extra kick. But the hair color, you've got to acknowledge it. What I say, it's the skin and yes, the eyes, but you lead with the hair color.
It's
Wow.
true because when I met you, Jill, my hair color was not this color, and you said, "What is happening?" And I said, "Okay, I got to fix that." And you were right. Guess what? You were right. So, guys, Jill's right. I'm just saying, right? So, personal experience,
All
right?
right.
So, here's a question too. A gray-haired gentleman with warm versus cool colored suits and shirts resonates with me because of my hair color. I love that. That's right. It probably does. It probably looks really uh very very good. But Jill, do you have any suggestions for a gray-haired gentleman?
A gray haired gentleman? Well, first of all, gray is so huge now. I mean, it's like an evolution revolution all over the world. I'm working with people, and people who have had a different hair color, like a reddish brown hair color, and they go gray. I get these emails in capital letters: help, everything looks terrible. I don't know what to do. I'll give you some tips. Gray hair, for glasses, you don't want to go into yellow gold. You want to go more into the silver or the tarnished kind of pewter kind of colors. But see, I wasn't even going to go here, but see, I have all these colors that work with gray hair, and all the colors can work together. What you don't want to do is go anywhere in this kind of a range. The earth
Yeah.
tones are not your friend with gray hair. End of story. But you can do a lot of color. You can do like a rose red, burgundy, um, blue, like almost a navy-ish kind of blue. Grays are fabulous. If you do brown, you want to do a taupey brown, which is a very grayed kind of a brown. So I'm just saying, oh, lavender. Lavender is fabulous. And then for a guy, if you do wear a tie, which I don't know how many people are doing it today, although on television with the newscasters, that's a whole other, that's a whole other life. But the tie, when a guy is shot, like sitting behind a desk, rules the day. Either their whole reporting, I'm in his tie, or it's just feeding his whole look. You know,
Mm,
gray haired guys, the anchors, the salt and pepper. Anyway,
yeah.
it all works together.
I love that. Well, you mentioned PR, and it's all tied together, right? Because again, we're talking about the difference between a subject matter expert and a thought leader. So, a thought leader is somebody who shows up on LinkedIn. They start industry conversations, right? But they also go beyond that. So, they do speaking engagements and probably press releases as well, and are likely on TV. So, all of this pairs well together, and it all complements really everything. Again, when someone looks us up online, before someone decides to do business with us, regardless of what kind of company we have or what service or product we're providing, the first step in a customer's journey is to look us up on Google. And my question to you and everyone here is, what results will they find when they do? So, again, keep in mind these first impressions are super, super critical, regardless of your goals as a thought leader, because it's all about making that solid first impression. Now, when I was on my TEDx journey, I had Jill, I had my color covered, I knew exactly what I was going to wear, but what I needed was a really important piece, and that's a high impact presentation coach. So I thought I was okay, right? This was my first time doing a TEDx. I thought I was solid. I had been practicing for months and months and months, rehearsing my speech. 1 week before I delivered my talk, I booked an appointment with Claudio, and it completely changed the trajectory of my speech. So I want Claudio to talk a little bit about the importance of high impact presentation skills. Claudio, what advice do you have for us today?
Oh, how much time do we have, Tara? How much time? There are so many aspects when you prepare for such a high impact speaking opportunity, whether it's a TEDx talk, whether it's an investor pitch, or even going on Shark Tank and pitching your product to millions of people on the other side of the screen. So there is, of course, a lot of preparation, and I could tackle this from many, many different ways because your audience, Tara, is mostly preparing for TEDx and TED kind of talks. Let me share my number one tip there. When it comes to the preparation, we have this tendency to wanting to sit down and take our thoughts, and we are writing a script out. And to me, this is not the right place to start. Today, some people don't even sit down and write the script. They turn to ChatGPT and let ChatGPT write the script. Now, I'm all for using the latest AI tools to add to your preparation, but not when it comes to the words, because words matter so much. And my biggest tip here is to not write your script, but to speak it. So think about what you want to say. Think about this, the message, the core message that you have, and then think about, how do I want to get that across? One of my favorite ways is to just take Post-its and write different topics onto those Post-its, put them on a wall, and then start to rearrange them. And once you know that big picture, then take out your text editor, whatever it is, whether it's Word or whether you're using Google Documents or whatever. And today, all of these tools, they have a dictation feature. So instead of you sitting there and typing, record yourself first, and then turn that into the actual script. And there will be a remarkable difference, because when you sit down and you write out your script, you're going into writing mode and you are looking at the perfect grammar. But that's not how we speak. And I can pick out any talk, TEDx talk, that has been first written and then memorized versus those that have been spoken and then turned into a script to memorize. So that would be my number one tip. I'm sure I can share a few more as this program is going on, but that's truly the number one preparation tip. Don't write, speak.
I love that. It's so unique and it's so profound. So a lot's to unpack there, right? So we're living in the age of AI and deep tech, and a lot of people are using it to, we see it, we see people write their posts using ChatGPT. We see people do all sorts of things using ChatGPT. And while it's a great tool, and I'm with you, we need this technology to support us. Ultimately, it should not be a crutch for a couple reasons, right? Because at what point are you a thought leader, or is ChatGPT the thought leader, right? So we need to think about that, because we're talking about shaping conversations that start movements globally. We're not talking about writing a script for the sake of a script. We're not talking about going on a TEDx stage to check a box. And I'll say this, if that's a goal and you just want to land a TEDx talk just to check a box, you may or may not have success. But you will have success if it comes from your heart, if it's a deep message that you speak into life, that it's coming from a perspective where you want to influence people and change the world, change the conversation, then absolutely it'll resonate and have the impact you desire. But I think that's really important. And, again, I met with Claudio 1 week prior to me flying to London to deliver this, TEDx speech. When I met with you, Claudio, you said something to me. You said something really profound. You said, your talk has the ability to gain hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. Why did you say that to me?
there are different aspects that I look at when I listen to a talk, right? One is the speaker themselves. How
Mhm.
authentic do they come across? How energetic are they? So it's the speaker on one side, but on the other side, it's also the message. How profound is the message? And in your case, Tara, it was a combination of all of these things that I usually look out for, that I knew this is going to be a winner. The topic, highly, highly relevant. Gratitude. Gratitude is something, I think it's like a magnet, right? We have, when you think about words, and this is the other thing, when it comes to a really, really powerful speech, sometimes when we start to think about how do we want to express it, what do I want to say, we focus on the idea. My advice is to focus on emotions and think about what kind of emotions are you evoking in your listener. And each word has a certain emotional weight to it. Gratitude is one of these words that gets to us somehow. We are curious about it, and curiosity is one of the absolute keys if you want your audience to pay attention. If you want to captivate the audience, right? You want to instill a bit of curiosity as well. So these were a couple of things that, putting them together, looking at them all together, I was like, this is really great. You had a couple of things that needed to be refined. We talked about a couple of very specific words that we can change, giving you perhaps a little bit more rhythm in some areas. We were looking at speed of delivery, for example, is another one, right? It's vocal variety, those kind of things that you very, very seldom can practice by yourself, right? These are the kind of things where a coach comes in handy. And I recommend to anybody who is going on such a TEDx journey to to look for help. Look for help from people that have been there, or experienced coaches that are focused on a specific. I'm not saying, go and hire me, right? I'm one of a couple of coaches out there that can help you. You'll find the right coach for you. But I believe it's very, very important to at least have 1 or 2 sessions just as a sanity check to see, okay, I've been practicing, I've been creating this in a vacuum, I've been practicing in a vacuum. Well, don't you want to have at least one well-trained eye that looks at it and says, hey, you know what? Maybe if you change the order here a little bit. And these are the kind of things that I'm so happy that you're putting together this program, this thought leadership blueprint, right? Because it has all of these different components in there. It helps people with their messaging. It helps people with their look, colors, and so on. You pull the right people together so that someone who wants to go on a journey like this, right, has basically this one-stop shop that leaves no stone unturned. And that to me is the real, real power. And that's why I'm so delighted and feel privileged to be part of this program.
I love that. Well, you're right. I think we're a great team. I don't think I know. We are a great team. We cover all the bases. The best part about all of this is that we're just scratching the surface today. That's the important thing to keep in mind. It's not about landing a TEDx talk. It's not about landing PR features. It's not about growing your visibility. And these are all in silos. It's about putting it all together. That's the important part. And that's the package that we are talking about today. And it's called the Thought Leader Blueprint. The best part about all of this is that you get an immense amount of experience. So I myself am an international TEDx speaker with a viral TEDx talk. But it's not just me, right? I also have Claudio and Jill who are supporting the speakers who get into this program so that they not just land a TEDx talk for the sake of it, but so that when they do, it's memorable, it shifts conversations, it changes the industry, and ultimately it gives them that global impact that they are looking for. Go ahead and put it in the comments if you are looking for this global impact. If you want to not just land a TEDx talk, but if you want to go as far as you can with it, this is what this is about. And we're in a unique position here. So not only have I spoken on the international TEDx stage, I also have a best-selling book about this exact topic. It's got 71 reviews right now on Amazon. People are having tremendous amount of success with these practices and with these methodologies. I'm also a TEDx speaker, coach, and curator. So I have been in the decision process of what kind of speakers get accepted into TEDx Talks and what speakers don't get accepted. So it's a completely different angle than any other program that's out there right now because it helps you land that first impression, which is so critical, but then it goes so much farther than that and really gaining you that visibility and global impact that you are looking for. So I would love for you guys to put it in the comments. Is this something that you have a goal of? Who in the comments, who watching right now has a goal to land a TEDx talk, to be a global thought leader, to appear in press releases one day, to be a global influencer, to gain their visibility? Who has a goal that when they reach out to customers and the customers look them up online, that they see a TEDx talk that not only engages them on a mental level, on, an intellectual level, but stirs their heart, stirs their emotions, and makes them see that you are a person that they want to work with. And then, yes, somebody said, I just got your book. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Keep putting in the comments, guys, because I have actually had plenty of speakers land TEDx Talks based on this book alone, not even with just coaching alone. So this is important. But like Claudio said in the, as he was talking about in his last section, it is important to have somebody who's on your team, who's a coach, who can be that third set of eyes, that second set of eyes, whatever. Because there's a saying that I have. It's called, we can't see the holes in our own ship.
Mhm.
Really
Mhm.
important. I didn't see the holes in my own speech. That's why I brought on Claudio.
Yep.
And even the most seasoned speakers need a team behind them. Guys, any thoughts? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I actually have a couple of thoughts. One is I want to go back to a comment that Webmakers Circle made here about what I was talking about before about the emotional impact, and then Webmaker Circle followed up with, I've got the feeling bit down. How can I leverage these emotions to drive people to action? And my go-to tip here is to chain together the different emotions, because it's very, very difficult for somebody to go from one state to another state in just one jump, right? So usually I focus on persuasive presentations, and even a TEDx talk in some sense is a persuasive presentation, because you want people to perhaps look at something slightly differently from a different angle. You want them to change a belief, whatever it is. And it's a play between the status quo, the current situation, which very, very often includes negative emotions, includes emotions that, yeah, they're not all that positive. That's why we are looking at change. And then on the outside of it, the goal is to have this full acceptance. And there are steps in between. So, for example, frustration, right? Frustration is one of these emotions that I view as a jumping board to the ultimate emotion that you want your audience to get to. So, this is how you can leverage these emotions by stringing them together so that you can truly move someone from one base emotion that they have at the current moment to where you want them to go. So I hope, Webmaker Circle, that this answered the question, that this was somewhat useful. I'm always happy to go into more detail. You can reach out to me. Contact information is in the description of this stream here. Now, Tara, you were showing your book before, and you are not just going to show
Yes.
it, right? You are going to give
Oh,
away 3 signed copies, signed by the author. I mean, this is something really, really cool. Now,
yeah.
we have this wheel of whatever prepared, wheel of names prepared. And I just want to make sure that we have all the people that are here really on that wheel as well before we spin it the first time to find the first winner. And I see we have 11 people live, but so far I only have 2, 4, 5 names. So if you want to win a signed copy of Tara's best-selling book, Talk Your Way to the Top, put your name into the chat right now. Say, I want to win, or say something so that I can add your name to this wheel here. Because we are going to give away 3. Well, if there are only 5 names on it, then the odds are just very, very much increased. But I see we have one more, Hatch Bridge. All right, I'll leave that as Hatch Bridge. And if you do not see your name on this wheel right now, but you do want to win the book, then please add your name to the chat in some way. And I know there's a little bit of a delay between me saying it and you actually typing it and getting it back. So I'll give you another 5-10 seconds, and then I would say, we are going to spin the wheel. And thank you for the name addition there, Therese. Very good. So what do you think, Tara? Do we want to spin this for the first time and see who is going to win the first book?
Yeah, let's go ahead and give it a spin. Let's see what happens.
Let's give it a spin. And there we go. We have Lauren. So Lauren, the way that this works is you simply have to connect with Tara on LinkedIn and then send her your mailing address where she can send that book. All right, Tara, want to continue?
All right. Yeah, let's continue. And Claudio, I'm just going to put my LinkedIn URL in the chat.
Perfect.
Just so that you have it for easy access. But yeah, let's go ahead and spin again. Let's see what happens.
All right. Now we only have 5 on the wheel. So, hey, there we go.
Hey.
There is same thing for you. Send your mailing address to Tara and the book will be on its way immediately. Now, the remaining 4, there is a 1 in 4 chance of winning. Let's spin it one more time and here we go. Hatchbridge, you win the 3rd copy. Absolutely great. Congratulations to everyone who won one of these books Super, super, super awesome. And thank you
Wonderful.
for making those books available in the first place, Tara. Very cool. Very
You're
cool.
so welcome. And by the way, for everybody's benefit, Claudio is a co-author of the book, so you get some of his high impact presentation wisdom in the book as well. Love that. But this is a great opportunity. This is a fantastic opportunity to have a no guesswork. Wouldn't it be nice to go into this process with guides who have done what you seek to do? Done what you seek to do. Again, you're working with people who are top industry experts. Jill has decades of experience helping Hollywood's elite show up as the best versions of themselves on the red carpet and beyond. Claudio has experience with investor pitches, helping people prepare for the biggest presentations of their lives. Things like Shark Tank, right? TEDx, major keynotes, these kind of things. And then, of course, there's me. So it's any part that again, there's just no guesswork to any of this. And it's so nice to have guides who are, again, done what you seek to do. So important. So we only take a few clients a month for this service because it is very white glove. And we spend a lot of time working with people to individualize and personalize their specific goals. The first person you'll be working with is me. And during our first session, we go in depth of what is your unique TEDx idea? What is your unique TEDx idea? This is really important because when we have that idea finalized and really understand what it is you want to talk about, then we can find an event, a TEDx event that pairs with that idea. This is where most speakers fall flat and why they don't get accepted into TEDx. They apply to any and all TEDx events and don't get accepted because their idea, their topic, isn't aligned with the theme of the event, and the organizer doesn't understand why they are applying, so they get rejected. The last thing I want is for anybody to spend 6 months, 8 months, a year, or more applying to events that aren't aligned with them and ultimately don't serve them and waste their time. We have a very narrowed approach with this, and that's why everything starts with you. Once we have that idea, we find events that pair with that and we apply. And you don't do this by yourself. I look at every part of your everything from your application to how you're showing up online, so that when you do send an application, it is perceived well. And then you work with Jill to identify your colors, the perfect colors that are going to make you really shine on stage. And then once your TEDx talk is spoken, just like Claudia said, and we have it to the point where we feel really good about your speech, then it's time to work with somebody like Claudio who really fine tunes and crafts your talk so that it shows up excellent. Again, the goal is not to be mediocre. The average TEDx talk gets, in fact, I don't want to tell you. I want you to put it in the comments, guys. Put it in the comments. How many average views do you think the typical TEDx talk gets? I will wait for those comments to come in. And then before we get to those comments, I do want to say one thing, that there's about 1,500 TEDx talks that are published on YouTube every single month. 1,500 TEDx talks from all over the globe that are published on YouTube every month. There's a lot of volume with this. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because like any social media post, for example, if I were to post 1,500 posts per month, the algorithm would crush my posts and nobody would see it. So the point of it is again, not just to land a TEDx talk that's average. We're talking about excellence here. So the goal is for as many people to see it as possible. And that is where the final part comes in. Again, you're working back with me on the marketing and the branding so that when it is published, people actually see it. So, so crucial. And we have a comment here, conservative guess, hundreds of thousands? No idea, says Webmaker Circle. Can I tell you guys? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
It's less than
Yeah.
1,000
Yeah.
views for the average TEDx talk. Imagine getting on the TEDx stage, securing that big dream talk, working 6 months or more on your speech, refining it, putting in all of this effort, and then crickets. It's not about that. It's about making an impact that serves you on that global level. So the only way we can do that is with excellence and by working together as a team. And that's why I've pulled in these panel of experts to help us do exactly that. Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts? Any questions from anybody in the audience? Feel free to put any questions that you have. Yep, it is, right? And again, think about that, Yash. You know, we're talking about 1,500 posts a month, so the YouTube algorithm crushes TEDx talks. Just because your talk gets posted doesn't mean it gets seen. Really big distinction there. Really big distinction. It's very similar to publishing a book on Amazon, right? For any authors out there that are listening to that. We know how competitive the book market is. We know how competitive it is to get our book seen and heard. And then the Amazon algorithm does what? It crushes it because more books get piled on top. So it's about staying relevant as well. Claudio, Jill, any last thoughts?
Well, Jill,
Go,
go
go.
ahead. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
love I love this. I mean, I'm sitting here like a sponge, like absorbing all of this. It's such, I mean, I was so honored to be included in this. You know, I've worked with so many people for so many years all over the world, but this is so specific and it's just giving the participant the total picture. Because I will say, I have watched, besides some TED Talks, especially when I knew I was going to do this, I'm concentrating in the TED Talk space. And I have to say, people are dropping gems. They're like, wow, that's really great or cool. But I have to tell you, I have to get through the presentation, the physical, to get the message. You know what I mean? It's the color, it's the thing. Every things are just so pulling away and minimizing the incredible impact because it's all there, you know, in this speech. It's just the visual is not pushing it, it's just fragmenting it a bit, you know. And so I'm just thrilled to be a part of this. And in fact, I worked with a client of Tara's recently, and then she booked a TV interview and she sent me the link. And she was wearing one of her colors and changed the nail color and this and that. And based on everything we came up with, and it was amazing. It was so aesthetic, you know, just the look of it. And then everything she had to say was just amazing. So I love how Tara has taken the time and the effort to put together something that's like the total package, the complete package, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I can
Well, I just think
absolutely.
about, oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I just think about what I needed when I was in this journey.
Right. And I
Mhm.
can second what Jill just said. You know, when you approached me, Tara, with the idea of putting together this package, right? And as you said before, we just scratched on the surface right now. There is so much more to it. And, you know, this is not just about TED Talks. This is truly about what the title of this webinar is: to go from invisible to influential. And a TEDx talk is just one small little puzzle. You know, you have so much to give. You have profound messages that need to be heard. But today, it's such a noisy world out there. There is so much signal. And among that signal, mostly noise and some actual content. And I know you have that actual content, but how do you get it into the minds and hearts of people out there? How do they find you? So it's not just about TEDx. It's not just about writing a book and then making sure that this book is not just one of millions of self-published books out there that eventually ends up on the bookshelf of your friends and family, but nobody really buys it. But to make sure that you get the right level of engagement, for example, on an Amazon page. And it's also about securing TV interviews, media interviews, whether it's TV, whether it's the printed press. And Tara, you shared a couple of testimonials with me before. I just want to bring up two, and maybe you can walk our viewers through them. Here is the first one.
Oh, wow. So Nia is a cybersecurity strategist. I've been working with her for some time in my global speaker community that I am a founder of. But it wasn't that long ago. She came to me and she said, "You know what, Tara, I want to take my goals to the next level. I'm tired of playing small. I want to be seen in a really big way." Now, she's in an interesting position because she's only about 1% of women who are in cybersecurity. So she has absolutely that potential to go to that global thought leader level. But she needed a key piece, and that was a TEDx talk. So I worked with her, and only just 3 months later, of by the time she decided, you know what, I think this is my next move. I think I'm ready. To the time she actually landed, it was less than 90 days. Incredible. And it really just takes us deciding to make that next move. Here's Dr. Gina Anderson, a learning scientist, CEO of Luma Education, Luma Learning. She obviously a thought leader in her industry, very well known, but it was time for her to go to that next level as well. So she had delivered several large conference keynotes, very well known and respected in her industry, but again, she wanted that global presence. So TEDx was the next step for her. She had applied for TEDx events and not gotten accepted. So she came to me. Within just 3 short months of working together, here we are, secured a TEDx talk, a TV placement as well, her very first one, as well as a magazine feature, and I think 7 to 10 podcast opportunities, as well as gaining traction for her books. Incredible. So again, this is a total digital presence we're talking about. It's not one piece. It's how can all of these pieces line up so that you create that total visibility and presence that we're looking for as a global thought leader. So this is all possible. And maybe, we kind of didn't really talk about PR that much. So I do want to mention that as well here. I have a unique position through my branding agency that I'm partnered up with 3 TV networks in 3 different states that I can help people who are thought leaders secure TV segments. And we think about how important this is, right? Again, if we're thinking about SEO, when customers look us up online, what will they find? What if when a customer looked you up online and as part of the customer journey, they see TV placements, they see a TEDx talk? Again, you're building immense third-party validation and credibility for you and your business. So important. And we know this, that people buy from other people. I'll say that one more time. People buy from other people. So when they look you up online and when they see an authentic person who delivers an impeccable message, who shows up and gives a great first impression, it becomes part of the journey, that customer journey, and it allows you to really expand your business in a unique way that doesn't that isn't what everybody else is doing. I think that's really important too. Goes outside of the box, which is a really good thing. So that's important. I also want to mention for anybody who's watching this call right now, and maybe you're not quite sure if this is your next step, but you're intrigued, happy to hop on a 30-minute call with you and talk about this. And maybe we just talk about your unique idea or what potentially you could talk about. Maybe you're not sure yet if this is for you, but you want a little bit more information. My calendar is open. It is open. So I've created a special calendar appointment just for this webinar for anybody who's interested in exploring this idea a little bit further. Please book a call with me, no obligations whatsoever. I'm just trying to add value and help more great people get their messages heard so that they can show up the way they want to online.
This is so awesome, Tara. And I really am so happy to be part of this triad here. Webmaker Circle made a comment here. What a brilliant triad of expertise here. Thank you. And thank you, Webmaker Circle, for joining us here today, staying with us and engaging. And before I head it over to you, Tara, to wrap this up. One other comment here from Yash. He had to leave, but he, on his way out, said, I hope we can do this again. And who knows, maybe we are going to turn this into something that we are going to do a couple more times. Maybe this was just the first one, just to get us warmed up and going, because I feel there are so many aspects to your program, the Thought Leaders Blueprint, that, in 45 minutes or 60 minutes, you really can just scratch on the surface. So thank you again, Tara, for having me. And with that, back to you to wrap this thing up.
Wonderful. Yeah, my last piece of advice is my story. Before 2022, I was a corporate sales director. I had barely a presence online, literally. I think I had about 200 Facebook connections, a minimal following on LinkedIn, no YouTube, no Instagram, no nothing. Nobody knew who I was. But in my heart, I had a message. And I knew that if I could just figure this out, somehow I could change lives. And that's exactly what I did. I started just by showing up. And then I started developing consistency. And then I developed community. And then I developed a global movement. Incredible. In less than 3 years, I went from being a corporate dropout, because that's exactly what happened, by the way. I left my 9 to 5 and I said, no more. I didn't have a plan. I wasn't exactly sure what my next move was, but I just gave it a go because I believed in myself. There was a spark within me that knew I had something to share. And I'm talking to anybody who's like that right now. If you're listening to that story and you say, you know what, I'm a little bit above where she is right now, you have an edge. You have an edge that I did not have. So I encourage you to have the confidence to share your message. If you believe deep down inside that you have something to share that can change lives or save them, then we have a moral obligation to do that, right? If you have a message inside that says, I can change my industry and how people think about this topic or that thing, let's go. The glory does not come from thinking about things. It only comes when we take action. You have to pair that thought with the action, and we have to make decisive movements. So I believe everybody watching this right now, there's a reason that you came to this program today. And I encourage you to book a call with me so that you can go on this journey too. And just know that if I did this, it is absolutely possible for you as well.
Wow. Awesome.
And I'm so glad that we're working together on this, Claudio and Jill. This is amazing. I really couldn't
Truly,
ask for a better team.
truly, truly, truly. Well, with that, I look forward to the next time we are going to do this. And anybody, thanks again for joining us. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend. And wherever you are in the world, enjoy a lovely morning, afternoon, or evening. See you next
Yes.
time.
Thank you, everyone.